something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, howdy, people. I get to start the show today, so Carl's given me that privilege. He's sitting back in his car there laughing his head off. I can see him right now. You guys can't, but at least I can. So I do not have the deep, wonderful presenter voice of the famous voice of Carl Liebold, but in that situation, it doesn't really matter. Tonight's show is all going to be about deep thought, why, questions, what are we doing as Australia? Where do we stand locally? What are we doing globally, and how is the global efforts going to affect us? So there's going to be questions in there. I'm sure that you guys will throw a heap up in the comments. Just getting back to that, Michelle Bradley Smith looks like she was first into the comment room tonight. So hello, Michelle. Welcome aboard. Thank you to one of our famous moderators. But really, let's get this show on the road because we started late, and I apologize for that. It was because I was surfing the roads all the way back from Adelaide. So, yeah, it was all good. So, here's the wonderful Carl. Hello,
I don't know
Carl.
how wonderful it is. Frozen solid would be the way I'd describe me right about now. Although, I am wearing my new Voice of Freedom zip-up hoodie, and I have to say, it is reasonably warm, although I am sitting in a car with the engine running, and what's the temperature set at? 28.5 in here at the moment, because outside it's about 4. It is very chilly. So we're at the Jimboomba Library tonight. There is a Ainsley Bullion and Freedom Financial Solutions Self-Managed Super Fund seminar happening here, and already caught up with a few of the folks inside, and I'll catch up with a few more after the seminar's finished. So in the meantime, we get to sit down and have a bit of a chat, and I get to guest on my own show, which is a bit interesting.
Just because I'm controlling the show doesn't mean you're guesting on it, mate. It's definitely still your show. I'm just pushing
it's
the
all
buttons.
good. It's all good.
Okay. So speaking of the fleecy hoodies, now these are a 310 grain fleece, supposedly. And while they're fairly warm for me, in the deeper, darker dungeons of some places like Victoria, etc., they may not be as warm as you think, especially the zip-up ones. I find you have to zip it right up to the top to keep that warmth in around your neck. But generally speaking, I had a bit of a look today and found that there is a 410 grain one that we can get. So we might see if we can add that one to the store for those who would like the slightly warmer fleece. You know, I find this one great, but then I don't feel temperature a great deal, so that might just be me. So anyway,
it's a good effort for a man with as much hair on his head as you've got, not feeling the temperature.
Sorry?
That's a good effort for a man with as much hair on his head as you've got, not feeling the temperature.
Maybe that's why. Maybe I've got a baked skull, mate, and it's permanently irradiated. But
it might be the case. So, look, I'm finding it quite warm. It's not as warm as the wind cheater. I will admit that. I don't think it's as warm as the wind cheater. And Vince and I had a long discussion today after Barry, who bought one of these, sent an email through to me where he wasn't too chuffed with how warm it was. I'm not sure where Barry lives, but if it's been in Queensland, in and around where I've been for the last week or so, it's been bloody freezing, and you'd practically need 3 or 4 wind cheaters on to keep the wind going through you. I was wearing 4 layers of clothes and the wind was still going through me. So sometimes you can only do so much to try and stay warm. But these heavier ones, these 410 or 420 grain or GSM ones might be the go for those of us that feel the cold a little bit more than others in the future. So hopefully we'll get them up on the website in the near future, mate.
Yeah, well, I've got to obviously get pricing on them, find out what they're going to be worth, etc. So, I mean, we're not here to try and make money. We are here trying to survive, which actually brings in the whole idea of what I'm talking about tonight. And it's, where are we as Australians? All right? Why are we not questioning things? Why are we not asking for responses on various bits and pieces? You know, like there's a classic about the Commonwealth of Australia Parliament and how the 1973 Interpretations Act changed it to the Australian Parliament. Now, for some of us, we say, okay, that's wrong. That should have only been changed in the Constitution. But other scholars will say, hey, no, it's really just a name change. It's not being removed from the Constitution. It's like a second name for the Commonwealth of Australia, you know, the Commonwealth Parliament of Australia, whichever way it's actually said. I'd have to pull out my little red book. So if it's just a name change, I've got to ask the question, why was the name changed? What were we trying to achieve? The next question comes in, if it's just a name change and the Commonwealth title still exists, why does all the legislation have a different seal on it? And why does all it have the Australian Parliament on it? You know, is this really just a name change? Are we still being able to refer it directly back to our Constitution? That's a question. Nobody seems to have an answer.
Well, I think there's a very definitely an answer there, but whether or not people who haven't done the research choose to believe what those who have done the research tell them, I think is probably the biggest hurdle. A lot of the information that we can provide to people
bit of a dead
who
spot.
don't understand how the persuasive arguments. That's the information that we can provide in regard to how and why a name makes all the difference is substantial. And it's not terribly difficult to understand. If you were told that changing from the Commonwealth of Australia government or the government of the Commonwealth of Australia to the Australian government is just a second name for what the Constitution refers to, then the first question you must ask that person is, if the name has changed and isn't referred to in the Constitution, how can the new, and let's call it a nickname, be valid? And the answer is it cannot be valid.
Well, that's what we believe. But,
yeah,
you know, there's legal scholars saying that it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure it does.
I stopped believing legal scholars when I figured out they were part of the problem, not any part of the solution. Legal scholars are protecting their own ass. Legal scholars will tell you whatever the bar tells them to do. Their first responsibility is always to the bar, always to the corporate, never to us, especially if one of the bastards happens to be representing you. The first question you should always ask a lawyer who wants to represent you is, who is your first duty of care to? And they will tell you the court, not you, their client, the person they're meant to be fighting for. They'll tell you that the court is first in line and who they are responsible to. So, I mean, there are some good lawyers out there, don't get me wrong. But when you get these people, these learned scholars come out and tell us this bullshit, you need to call them on it. Because if the Constitution wanted the government of the Commonwealth of Australia to be called something else, it would have added it. It would have been in there, known as the Australian government, in brackets. You know, it would have been provided for. Instead, giving it a new name creates a whole new corporate legal history for the entity that has nothing to do with our Constitution, and it is not fixed to our Constitution in any way. It is a made-up corporate document. That's all it is.
Yes, but how do we get that evidence? That's the issue. I mean, we look at the seal being changed. Another question is, has anybody asked the government, why did we change the seal?
Well, because they can't use the same seal. They
I
can't use
realise
the
that, but
Government of the Commonwealth of Australia seal on the Australian government, because the first seal has the lion and the unicorn on it. The second seal has the kangaroo and the emu blacked out. So we have a black corporate logo as our national emblem.
yeah,
That also means something for those of you that want to do the research.
There's our research, but I mean, let's think about this for a second. Interpretation is what everybody may or may not think about a particular thing. So what one person interprets one way, another person interprets another way. We've not actually had a chance to get this in black and white from supposedly the people who represent us. I'm wondering, should we even ask that question, or do we need to?
Well, it would be a question I'd like to ask some of the politicians that have just lost their jobs. Gerard Rennick would be one of them, but I'm not sure that any person who's been in government as an elected member, I'm not sure that we can really trust anything, because they have been corporately brainwashed from the moment they got in the place. In fact, the only reason they got in the place was because they were able to be corporately brainwashed. And I'll be honest, I don't think that I've seen anything out of Gerard Rennick until the last 2 years that ever impressed me. And all of a sudden, when he realised that the Liberals weren't going to back him anymore, and he was going to be out on his own, and he decided to run as an independent and start people first, which I commend in the highest possible terms. But at the end of the day, he couldn't garner enough support to get himself back into the Senate alone, let alone anybody else on the People First side. So I would say that people like Gerard Rennick have a great opportunity now to come and explain the corporate side of government as they understand it to us. Okay? Let them put up the argument.
You just asked another question there. You just asked another question there that needs to be answered. We know that there's an act in Parliament that says that there is a corporate Commonwealth of Australia, and then there is the Commonwealth of Australia, and they are two separate entities. Has anybody ever bothered to ask, where does the corporate start and the Commonwealth finish?
I don't think you get a straight answer out of any of the representatives. They know the corporate fiction they are playing. They are made aware of it from that first week where new parliamentarians go and do their orientation. That's where they are made aware of the differences and how the system works. And if you don't want to play within the system, then you'll just be sitting on the sidelines for the next 4 years until we get rid of you. And that's what they'll do. There have been plenty of people in the Liberal Party, and probably quite a few in the Labor Party as well, who have been made sit on the backbenches because they actually wanted to do something for we the people. And the moment they tried doing that, they were shut down by the party juggernaut and exiled. That's why party politics, as outlined in our constitution, is illegal. Yep. So unlawful, specifically for that reason. And yet we, as right-thinking Australians who can accept what I've just said, that this is an unlawful act being perpetrated against us, shrug our shoulders and say, okay, no worries. Do it again to me in 4 years.
Exactly. So Baz has got a question up here. What happened to all the government records found on French Island? I have no concept on what possibly could have happened there or what has happened with that. I don't think we've heard any more about it. Have you got anything, Carl?
No, I haven't heard any more about it recently. The last I heard about those documents was that they were being reviewed in detail, in great detail, by certain Victorians I'll say.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a whisper of those documents since. Now, one would think there would be some very interesting reading in those documents, particularly as they seem to hold a great deal of information surrounding Gough Whitlam and the decisions he made in 1973. So, yeah, I'd be very keen to learn more about that. The way I see it, the reason we've heard nothing is either A, they've not found anything of any great use, or B, they've found many things of great use, but other things have to be in place before they can be used. This sort of, I suppose, gets me to what's going on with Tim Dwyer and his document that he's been working hard to put together for the last 40 years, and then in the last 3 weeks has opened himself up to public ridicule and dissension by throwing that open to everybody to tear apart, to criticise, and to bring other parts of a solution too. If you're going to criticise a part of Tim's solution, you'll only really be listened to if you can bring an alternative to what you're criticising, because we can all throw stones at things. Bring an idea. Don't just bring negativity. Bring positivity. Bring a way that, maybe your idea will work, maybe it won't, for a variety of reasons. But that's why this process is so important, because everybody's idea, everybody's contribution is extremely important, because even somebody who might consider themselves, not learned in any way, not smart, not this, not the other, but they've got this bit of an idea, and I wouldn't mind saying it, that just might be the piece of the puzzle that we are all missing.
Yep.
So we cannot afford to reject any idea brought forward unless it is an idea that has already been tried through the courts and proven to fail for, documented reasons. There's no point in beating your head against the brick wall. So why would we do that just because somebody else brought an idea that's already been tried by somebody else a day, a month, a year ago? So we won't do that. However, new ideas, even really, really left of field ones or right of field ones, depending on which way you want to view it, we have a duty of care to you to look at those. Now, whether or not they go forward from the looking on stage or not is all down to the quality of your idea. So once you have this idea, and many people have an idea of how we can get to a solution, in Tim's case, what happened was he laid his all out open for everybody to see. He asked if everybody else who's done as much work as he has on their documentation would be prepared to do the same thing. And I don't think anybody said that they would help. In fact, there was much derision. And as we saw in Tim's Zoom on Wednesday night, it is very clear to see that there are people in our movement who are not working for us. They are working for themselves or for a darker force. And in Tim's Zoom on Wednesday night, for those who didn't see it, there was an email exchange which was sent to Tim in error, but it was all about Tim and Tim's presentation, where these two people described how they are going to usurp Tim's audience, take them to their website, encourage people to join their website, where you have to pay a fee every month, right? And you're expected to buy things, books and other bits and pieces that they will proffer and up to you. You are expected to show unfailing faith and support in what they're doing. And in their own words in that email exchange, they discussed how they were going to split this movement up. Now, that sounds awfully Masonic to me. But,
it certainly wasn't a higher level of consciousness, that's for sure. Interesting.
And we know the names.
Yeah.
We know the names, and we know they're involved in other organisations in this movement. I can tell you, I haven't come out and mentioned the names yet, but next week I'm going to. and I'm going to tear arseholes in people, because these two particular people should be named and shamed publicly, shown for the filth that they are.
Well, there
When
you go.
Tim puts out a magnificent proposal, throws it wide open to ridicule and whatever else, the person who started this was asked to offer something up, and he did, and it is a something that he offers, but it is by no means a solution. Right? It's a long way from a solution. There aren't enough enlightened spiritual people yet to get the solution that he wants. And I don't see him expanding those ranks, because he's more focused on getting your $15 every month.
Well, that comes back to the other part of this conversation in the title, Deep Thought. I mean, how many people in Australia do you think are really getting into thinking about where we're at, where we're going? Are we going up or down in this battle? Are we heading to the bottom of the barrel? Right? Oh, and here's just another totally random question. There's been plenty of stuff out on the net that's saying that Trump will be the last president of the US. Is that something that could actually be true? Is it because we're going to have a massive world war and countries will be decimated? Right? And if so, that comes back to local and global. So much of this ties into each thing. But do people actually spend the time in deep thought about where we're at? Or are they just sitting in their own little bubble? And if they're in their own little bubble, how do we break into that bubble and say, hey, have you thought about this? Is this a problem?
It's by design that people are in the bubble, okay? We are confronted with unbelievably high living standards. We're confronted with idiocy in the workplace, trans this, bi that, pronoun this, pronoun that. People have had enough, but they are given so many other things that impact their life much closer to home than what we talk about. And they're given that on a daily basis. The cost of living, the kids need this, the husband's doing that, the wife wants to do this. We're all trying to build an extension on the house or just save enough money to buy one. Or it could be much worse than that. There are so many people who tonight are watching this show from the cover of a tent, freezing their ass off, or sitting in a caravan on the side of the road somewhere, freezing their ass off. They're doing that because their livelihood has been taken away. Their livelihood has been taken away. Their hope has been taken away. And the only thing that they can rely on is GovCo giving them money every fortnight. So the government is bribing them and presenting them with challenges on a daily basis in their life. So, that are impactful challenges, right? Impactful. So how do we make our journey more impactful to more people is the question, given everything else that's been put around them. And I don't know, is that a public advertising campaign? Is it a Q&A session where, we send out, it would be an easy matter for us to put up a whole bunch of questions that people could download off the website and throw them on the coffee table next time you have the girls around for breakfast or lunch or whatever it is. Morning tea, I should say. I don't know how many girls you have around for breakfast, but be careful. So, this is a great way to raise the topic and start a soft conversation about it. Oh, did you know that, Gough Whitlam and one other bloke formed a government by themselves for a month in 1973? They looked after everything. All the other government ministers didn't know. It was a bit like what Scott Morrison did not all that long ago, when he took over 5 or 6 portfolios and didn't bother telling the minister's concerned that they didn't have the control anymore. So these sorts of questions, oh, well, yeah, I didn't know that, but why is it important is the next question. You know, why is knowing this important? What does it really mean? How did it impact my life? And there are plenty of people who say, well, my life's been great. You know, I've got a great job, I've got a great wife, husband, family, everything's going really well. And congratulations to you. I hope that you're getting through this bit of a challenging time when it comes to life expenses. But I can tell you there are more people not dealing very well with it. There are more people suffering because of the decisions that this corporate entity is making, supposedly on our behalf for our betterment. I mean, how many times do you have to be punched in the head to realize that the person's saying, hey, listen, it's all okay, and I'm going to do this again because it's good for you, and you let them punch you in the head again? That is exactly what's happening with this government. And it doesn't matter what flavour that government is. Every government punches its people in the head. And I'm cleaning that up because generally I'd say they'd be punching them in the other end, not the head. But we are wearing it. Clean up the clacker here, folks. And for some reason, the people who are having all the other shit of life heaped on them out there at the moment, the cost of living, rates up, down, this, that, the other, pressures for kids, pressures now to go and get jabbed again by something for a fake something that could be coming our way sometime in the future. Oh, and then Israel goes and attacks Iran, and Iran says we're going to strike back.
Yeah.
All we can pray for tonight, folks, is that Iran does strike back and doesn't hold back. It will leave a smoking hole in the ground where Israel used to be. Maybe that's what we need.
That raises questions. We're going to get into that discussion a little bit later. I don't want to hit that one just yet. So, but I was just going through some of the chats and the bits and pieces down here that's in there. One of the things that Tim's done on ourtrueaustralia.com is there's a flyers section under there that you can go to, which has got a whole heap of questions for people to print out or even just memorize if they want and ask other people. Our biggest problem, I think, is that, I'm going to say it, people are too goddamn chicken.
Yeah.
They're not game to get out there and put themselves out and put themselves in front of other people because they might get abused or they might get hurt emotionally or whatever.
Toughen up, princess.
Yeah, well, yeah. Drink a cup of cement is one of my previous people that I knew used to say, right, and harden that stuff up. But anyway, people have to start looking at this as, what are you going to leave your family? What are you going to leave for your children or your grandchildren? Are you going to be the one who did nothing? Are you going to be there? Are you going to let personal grievances that you may have with somebody else, you might be in a group, say a My Place or some other freedom group that you've got, and somebody said something you didn't like and you got all upset. So now you're going to let your little personal grievance throw you out of the fight to winning back this country. Really? I mean,
that's ego. That's ego you're describing there.
How stupid, right? What's more important? Your life, your family's life, your kids, your grandkids' life, or your feelings? Answer the question. And if you answer my feelings, then enjoy your little round bubble. That's all I have to say. But for all the rest,
you know,
step out.
What would you like written on your gravestone? Here lies Carl, who never had his feelings hurt or always protected his feelings. Or here is Carl, who was prepared to fight for everybody else. Or Vince, who's prepared to fight for everybody else.
Well, I'm good.
I know what I'd prefer to be. I'd prefer to be known as someone who tried and maybe failed, but at least I tried. I don't want to be known as a coward, and I less want to be known as an idiot who couldn't see the spicy cough and the spicy dart for what they were, an IQ test, that the smartest people in this nation supposedly foisted upon us, and the smarter ones in the nation will tell you they followed suit and said, yes, hold your arm out and get jabbed. We are in the minority still, folks, by a long, long way. So what do we do to shake people up? I don't think we can do it by ourselves. We need, something like this war that will happen between Israel and Iran. Right-thinking people in the world, even if you are a big Jewish supporter, you must be asking yourself today, what the fuck is Israel thinking? Starting preemptive strikes. Oh, because we heard they might be able to make a bomb in 3 days' time. Well, that smacks to me of Iraq in 1990, 1991. Oh, there were weapons of mass destruction there. There was never a weapon of mass destruction in Iraq. Saddam Hussein didn't have any nuclear weapons. He may have had a few Scud missiles, and a few of them might have been tipped with some kind of mustardy type gas from World War I, but he never used them. And there was never, ever any nuclear evidence found in Iraq.
Well,
Thank you very much to the Australian who led that whole shit show, because he was the one who was telling the world that there were weapons of mass destruction there. I've forgotten his name now, but guarantee he died a friggin' millionaire plus. So what do we do now? Iran, I beg your pardon, and Israel will go at it. Is it okay for Israel when America says, don't do this, this is a stupid thing to do, and Israel says, oh, no, bugger it, we're going to go anyway? They're planning on the Americans having to come in and support them. I don't think that the Americans will. I think Trump has flagged, and the entire administration has flagged a lot in the last week, that they are not supportive of what Netanyahu and his band of merry friggin' criminals in the Zionist government of Israel are doing. None of the people in Israel, the true Jews, none of them support what's going on with Netanyahu. There are people in the streets protesting every day for his removal. He refuses. Is it going to be a civil war on the streets of Israel? Wouldn't that be something to see? True Israelis, true Jews, rising up against the Zionist bastards that want to start the Third World War. And because America have run away from them now, and it doesn't look like they can convince or meddle too much in what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, now they're going to open up a new front. I hope they get their asses handed to them. I really do. And all Iran has been doing for the last 30 years is making weapons for this day. They have weapons stores underground in hundreds of places all over that country, and not just under the surface. These things are buried so far down, even those mother of all bombs aren't going to blow them up. Well, what happens when those shells, when they start shelling Israel from 100 kilometers out or more? The Iron Dome isn't going to work against artillery.
The question becomes, though, right? Who is going to be involved in this? Is it just going to be the two countries facing off against each other? Because, America's got, I think, about 16 bases that are probable targets. Now, if they attack those bases, does that bring America into the war? If that does, that's...
You can be 100% guaranteed that America has no bases in Israel. Israel has bases in Israel that allow Americans on them.
Right.
That's it.
So even if people get killed that are Americans, is that going to bring them in?
I think you'll find that at the moment there'll be very few Americans on those bases in Israel. They will have been pulled out over the last 2 weeks, and they will be working out of somewhere like Dubai. They'll be flying E-7s around, tracking everything that's in the air over that area and trying to keep a track of what's going on. But I would be amazed if any actual American weaponry is still on the ground in Israel. They've made it very clear they want no part of this. And that was emphasized by the fact that as soon as Israel announced their preemptive strikes, the American administration, not Trump, but the American administration came out straight away and decried it, said they will not support it in any way, shape, or form. Now, we know governments lie their ass off and things are apt to change. But Netanyahu has been on the nose in Washington for the last 6 months. He's been on the nose in a big way. And that's why the shift, and you've seen it even in our mainstream media, you've seen the shift going from fully protective of the Jews, fully supportive of the Jews, and just go back to the bombings of the mosques over Christmas, New Year, was it, late last year, and the caravan full of explosives that was going to blow up Sydney's biggest mosque, which was all bullshit. Every bit of it, all that story, everything I've just told you was absolute lies told to us by the federal police.
Yeah.
So
still, we've still
there are
got
a lot of good Jews out there who want nothing to do with what's going on with Netanyahu. There are a lot of Americans who do not and will not, very rich Americans who support the Republican Party and the Democrat Party for that matter, who do not support what Netanyahu is doing. These are big Jewish money families in America, but they do not support the Zionists. And it's the Zionists that are forcing the fight here. Now, Avi is an avowed Zionist. I'd like to know what he thinks about this. I haven't bothered watching any of his shows, but I guarantee you it'll be pro. Well, since when is it okay to preemptively strike your neighbour when you have no proof they've done anything against you? I mean, yes, they say they're funding. They're saying Iran funds, every terrorist group in the organisation or in the area of the Middle East. But do they? I've not seen any evidence of that. I've heard a lot of bleating and screaming from a bunch of whining Zionists, but I've never seen any actual evidence of it. I have seen what they've done to Gaza. I have seen the plans they have for Gaza. World domination by a bunch of Jews who never had a country, ever in history. They were the gypsies. They were the marauders. They were the murderers, the thieves that traveled through the early nations of Europe, terrorizing everywhere they went. Let's not forget how Judaism came into being, or how it was split, because the Khazarians and the Ashkenazis were given a choice. You pick a religion, pick Christianity, pick Muslim, pick Judaism. And they did. Loosely pick Judaism, but there are many sects inside Judaism. Remember, we've talked about the Torah, we've talked about the Talmud, and the very different religious books that they are. And the Talmud is an eye-opener for anybody who thinks that we, the Goyim, are going to be okay. Their goal is to slaughter us all. Their goal is to feed our children to us in sausage and in hamburger mince. And the old rabbi admitted it.
Supposedly. We'll just add that there just so YouTube doesn't get upset.
Well, I'll play it again if you want me to play it again. But it was a live radio broadcast. There's no doubt about it. It was a live radio broadcast. So
one of the things that
it disgusts me, and it disgusts me that people will stand up to say, "Oh, woe the Jews,"
Yeah.
People just need to do a little bit of research and figure out what happened in World War II. Ask a lot of questions about how a number of Nazis wound up in Adelaide and Western Australia. Significant Nazis. How did they get here?
Asking questions. Always asking questions.
Always.
That old adage, all right? Curiosity killed the cat. Well, information brought it back. That's true. We need to get the information, right? So, and obviously, guys, Carl can't always hear me interrupting him. I do so love to interrupt him, but it doesn't always work that way.
No, I can't, because
So,
sometimes you're dropping out and I'm just seeing a wheel of death.
oh, right. Well, luckily, your transmission is clean and everybody's getting everything you're saying. So that's excellent.
Cool. Okay. No, I'm not seeing you often. It drops in and out.
Yep. So part of that, though, if the world does start going to war, has anybody here in this country tried to figure out how the hell we survive? Are they aware that the minute we stop losing or are unable to get ships from abroad for oil or petrol, we can't get any more of that. We get 3 weeks lucky, if we're lucky, and it's gone. What about all the food that comes in from overseas, from New Zealand or Africa or whatever? Because we've been...
You mean the Chinese food repackaged in New Zealand and sent to Australia as New Zealand food?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You read some of the descriptions on it. Yes, this is packaged in Australia. It contains 90% food from overseas. Really? Yeah. Well, it was packaged in Australia, but people haven't thought about that. They haven't thought about where this goes. And it's because we let our government do stupid things like give away all of our gas, which the political punter's been pushing just recently.
Yep.
This big deal that went through. And I like watching him. He's got his little short tweets. They tell the story as the truth, right? So very much what we think. What do you guys think in the chat, though? I've been grabbing some as we go through there. Have you guys got any questions that you think need to be answered, or have you had any deep thoughts about what you think need to be done? So now's your chance, because I have control. I can put up anything and Carl can't stop me.
No, I'm just trying to figure out. Thanks, Susan. God, you're a wonderful lady. I hope you're warm in Tassie, love.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Sue. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you better be careful your husband doesn't do you because of the bank account. I saw that comment from earlier as well. And Sue, I am still going to talk to you. That is a given. All right. Speaking of talks, while we're waiting for people to give us a couple of questions, tomorrow we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, not financial advice. But Mark and myself are going to get together tomorrow afternoon. Don't know exactly what time yet, but we are going to get together and we're going to start at the basics, trying to help people understand what cryptocurrency is and what a wallet is and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to have a pretty regular show on that. Once again, I'll stipulate it's not financial advice. You don't want to follow my advice because I haven't made a fortune in cryptocurrencies, but Mark's done a little bit better than me, so it might be worth having a bit of a listen to what he has to say. But so that'll be on there. It's called Coin Toss. So keep an eye open for that. It will be available on the FBN channel and also on the Rumble channel. So, but it'll be late-ish afternoon because Mark's working and I've got to go and chase up a wireless problem for some customer. But either or.
Oh, well.
That'll be on. So there's a little promo. Speaking of promos, like and subscribe, people. We want to hit that. We are so close.
We are so
that
close.
11,000. Come on, guys. Get out there. Right. We'll do hide the shorts.
It's been interesting to note that a lot of people have also been liking and subscribing the other channels while we're doing this. So those numbers are also going up as well. Which is great, particularly the Rumble channel. Thank you to everybody who's watching on Rumble. And now you can participate in the chat. Yay. It's much more inclusive. So it's wonderful to have the folks who view us on Rumble come through in the chat now too. I'm really rapt about that. So by all means, like, share, subscribe, folks. But the VOF channel on YouTube is our main channel. It's the one we started growing first, and it is the only one that is monetized. And that's why it is the only one that is suppressed so badly. The others have all just been taken down in unison with what happens with the main one. So if you can like, share, subscribe, if you find any value out of anything we discuss here and you think it's useful to you, please share it with others if you think they might get something out of it. All we're aiming to do here is open up a conversation with you at your place with your friends. So, we can only do so much from our position, but, failing you inviting me around or Vince around for a dinner and you're having a dinner party for all your friends, it's about the only other time you're going to be able to get us to sit down and discuss it with you. But at your dinner party, you can hold these discussions. And they don't have to be combative. They don't have to be abrasive. As Vince said, ask as many questions as you can. Don't you think that's a bit weird? Or what do you think about this, that, or the other? Or, have you ever thought it's a bit strange that every other Commonwealth emblem for Australia is coloured, but since the corporation took over, it's only black? Can you show me any other black corporate logos in the world? They're there. You've got to go looking for them, but they're there. All part of the same happy family. Why did we change the lion and the unicorn to the emu and the kangaroo?
Yeah, see, that's a brilliant question. Why did we? I mean, yes, it shows a little bit more that Australia, was the government at the time, without the people's permission, trying to separate Australia from England and from the Commonwealth? Was that the goal? And if so, if that was the case, then that really throws the cat among the pigeons. That it's just a name change. It doesn't mean anything. We're still the Commonwealth of Australia.
Sure.
So, you start asking questions, you start wondering yourself, well, hang on, that counteracts that one and whatever. And by the way, the little finger on the screen was our YouTube earnings that go up and then suddenly go back and then go back up and back. I mean, barely speaking, it's not a lot. We're probably best month ever, but, Carl's going to have to live on that $300 for the next month. So good luck, right? But that's if it gets to 300, it might go backwards again, like it did 2 days ago. It's weird.
Well, we were sitting at I think it was $307, and it went back to 228.
Yeah, and
I think it's at 267 now, so it's crawled its way back a bit. And on top of that, we've had 95% more views than normal this month.
Well, that's because my lovely face is on here.
Just tell me how your earnings go backwards when you've practically doubled your amount of views in a month. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So if you think, and look, we don't do this to make money out of YouTube, which is bloody great because we're awfully successful at not making money out of YouTube. That's all I can say.
But we are trying to get the news out there for people, and we are trying to, let's face it, none of this stuff is free. I mean, I have to ask that question. Here's a question for me. My place has the Unity Hub up and running now. It's live. It's out there for people. It's $5 a month. And yet I get so many comments from people. Why isn't it free? Well,
people don't
costs
understand
money to run a server. It costs money to run a website. It costs money to develop this. It costs money for the programs that we use. And we're not selling your data. We're not selling that. We could make millions of dollars on data if we wanted to sell it to people. But we're not doing that because why? Well, maybe because we've got a set of morals that says we respect your privacy. Yep. Right? Maybe that's 100%. Why. And we're the same here on this show here. We've got data on people who are members. We've got data on people who have merch. Why? Well, in case the government ever asks us who bought this or who did that and prove your income. Well, you may, and
at which point I'll tell them to get fucked. You know that, don't you?
Well, my answer would be, what income? Would you like to give us the balance that's in the negative? We can do that, right? Yeah. But we don't sell that. That's not available to anybody. We can't 100% guarantee nobody will get it. I mean, I may be a reasonable IT person, but I'm not a super sleuth like some of the people employed by the government. But effectively, we don't do that. So our support, well, really, I'm fine. I don't need to be here. Carl can run this show on his own, right? I do it because I believe in Carl and what he does, right? I can live off what I've got at the moment, barely, but I make nothing out of this show. I take nothing from this show. I take nothing from NBN. Matter of fact, it's cost me more than it takes, to be honest, from FBN. So, but it's you guys out there who are also struggling, and we're all doing this together. Yet we have people who want to divide us and put us in separate little groups to fight the battle. That's not the way to go. What's the big picture here? We're trying to save our society. We're trying to save our country. So isn't it time that we all started collaborating? And if someone upsets you, brush it off. Right? Let's move forward. But
exactly right.
For everybody who's fighting, everybody who sticks their head out of the sand, Carl's a classic example. His head's out of the sand and he got thumped. Multiple whack-a-moles, right, over the 3 to 4 year period.
I'm glad to get another one.
Yes, that's true.
We won't talk about, but
no, we won't. That is something that we're working to. Oh, but that does raise another thing. Coming very shortly, very, very shortly, to the merch store will be a surprise. Right? Something that you may want to get behind. It may be very profitable for you. Hopefully, it'll be very profitable to the Donkey Sanctuary. But just letting you know, that's coming shortly. We've been doing a test run with something else, and we're going to incorporate that on the merch store. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's called the Curiosity Approach. Oh, does that involve thinking? Does that involve a question? Is that a, ooh, I wonder what that is question? Sorry. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. People don't think. I forgot about that. All right. Take all that back. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to have to learn I'm going to have to teach you how to tease something.
Well, see, I am not a professional, mate. That's your
job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
That's your job.
Yep.
Notice that we're all wearing our
watch this space soon, folks. Could be some cash in your pocket. Could be helping out some people, wonderful people who really need it. And
I was trying to be more vague than that. I was trying to be more vague than that, Carl. I was trying to be much more vague than that.
Let's look forward to it. Let's look forward to it. There is something good. If we can help people pay a few bills, then that would be great.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be pretty exciting.
We're not going to tell you how we're going to help you do that, but we will help you do that. But you're going to have to play a role.
Yep. Right. So it's all part of it. What else can I think of for today? My brain's frazzled. I mean, I've been driving. Have you got anything, Carl?
No, I just want to thank the people of Jimboomba for turning out tonight for the Freedom FFS and Ainsley Bullion Self-Managed Super Fund show. I'll be sneaking off back in there to catch up with everybody. The show will be just about ending up shortly, so I'll sneak in and see them. Over the weekend, there is likely to be some fairly major updates coming out of Iran and Israel, so you will see my head pop up most likely over the weekend at some stage to have a bit of a talk about that. Timing dependent, of course, on whenever they decide to start flinging weapons at each other. There might be a couple of other interesting bits coming out of America too. Something we didn't talk about is the Americans are now reviewing our AUKUS agreement. That's the agreement to get nuclear submarines. The Yanks are now concerned that because they can't build their own subs fast enough, offering to build 3 for Australia is going to put their sub-building program behind time, which would mean that they would be at a disadvantage, and the Americans might knock AUKUS on the head for that reason, simply because Australia cannot support the manufacturing process because we do not have a manufacturing base anymore. Not since they got rid of our car manufacturing 20 years ago have we been able to build a friggin' toothpick. So, if you'd like to join Voice of Freedom, Vince and me, in a joint venture to start a shipyard to build submarines, let's see if we can raise some money for that.
Sounds like a plan. You do realise that if I design a submarine, I'll guarantee you it will sink.
Just what you want. Well, as long as we don't make it out
after
of
all,
carbon fibre.
isn't that what the fly screen doors are that you put on the side of the submarine?
Exactly.
So that you can, it's fly screen door.
Yep.
And
and full blow in a submarine means something different to the rest of the Navy. I'm just saying.
Well, people, I suppose I'm going to be able to do something that normally won't, and we'll be back in a couple of seconds just to sign off the show. But because Carl hasn't, I am.
Hi, are you passionate about supporting independent media and social events? Voice of Freedom is dedicated to bringing you the latest happenings and things that matter. But we can't do it without your help. By donating, sponsoring, or becoming a member, you're not just supporting our mission. You're joining a community that values transparency and engagement. Your contributions allow us to continue producing high-quality content that informs and inspires. Visit vofhq.com to make a donation or explore sponsorship or membership opportunities. You can even donate using crypto. Together, we can amplify voices that deserve to be heard as we continue to create a vibrant platform for social change. Go to vofhq.com, help us to help you by joining us and making a difference today.
Well, he's managed to put me back up, but not himself.
Done deliberately.
Funny buggers. Oh, there you go. And you've still got a comment up there too, which must have been on there for the last 5 minutes. And I haven't got my right glasses on, so I can't read it. Oh, it looks like it's come from Baz. Become a member, he says. Couldn't agree with him more. So Vince seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't know if that means that he's turned everything off or is about to turn everything off, or if he's just waiting for me to say the immortal words that we all love to hear.
Not yet, I'm not. You'll have to hold on to that. Got to say thank you, Mr. Scrappy, for getting in there and donating that $10. That goes much appreciated. I am just looking for the comment to unhide. I've lost it there. Got it. It took me a while. All you guys are chatting away, so there's so much in here. You know, Stu and Sue and Click and Angela.
I'm sorry, I can't see the comments on my phone. It's
there's lots in here.
Smaller writing for me.
Or Margaret. Sorry, Margot. All you guys, Baz, etc. Thank you very much for all your comments, the bits and pieces. So, Carl, if you want to take a few seconds just to sum up a couple of things, and I'll give you the chat once I find what I'm looking for.
So, folks, have a bloody great weekend. Be careful of what you ask for, because sometimes you just might get it, and sometimes you get it in abundance. And it may not be exactly what you thought you were asking for. Keep an eye out on what's happening with Iran and Israel. This is going to form a significant part of our future. Given there is a lot of support for the Zionists inside the Albanese government, who knows which way this moron is likely to flip. Penny Wong has come down on the side of Europe, and I want to say it's the UK, France, Germany, and Canada have all come out and condemned Israel for starting this war. And that's what has to be remembered. Israel started the war. Israel started this fight. Israel will be held accountable for it. Forget woe are the Jews and what Hitler did to supposedly 6 million of them 75 years ago. Fuck that. Whatever that happened does not give Israel the right to do what they're doing now. Like I said earlier, if I had my way, I wouldn't shed a tear if they were wiped off the face of the earth and Israel was left a smoking hole in the Middle East. It's just too sick to think about. But the Zionists seem to have control, and the Israeli people, the good Jewish people of Israel, seem to be as useless as the good people of Australia in changing a sick, twisted government.
Yeah, agreed. That'll do. And with that, you can give the legendary sign out.
All right, folks. Be safe on the roads. There are many, many dickheads out there. And, well, for the next hour or so, I might be one of them. But after that, you're on your own.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!